no one's going to pretend it's been perfect. It's been a rocky ride, and I think it has disappointed people that voted overwhelmingly for change last year, because it's felt at times, and I've said this previously, that we're quite defensive of the status quo and that we're not hungry for the change that the country so overwhelmingly voted for. I think the missteps along the way have drowned out a lot of the really good stuff that has happened. So winter fuel so early on became a real defining moment for this government, and then the welfare row has just completely overwhelmed the kind of anniversary, I think, of that first year. And that is really frustrating. And I know how frustrating it will be for my former cabinet colleagues who are working really, really hard to deliver on the change that we promised down a manifesto. So whether it be the much wider stuff that was promised and is being delivered through the Employment Rights Bill, and huge increase in the minimum wage, record funding for the NHS, the breakfast clubs and the reform to schools. And of course, I'm really proud of the public ownership agenda that we delivered on the railways and the work that we did on buses and sustainable aviation fuel. But all of that, I think, is being drowned out by some really totemic issues that were, I think, have been accepted as mistakes and have really defined this first year. So I think the government's got a real job to go as we come out of this recess and into September and back into Parliament and back into conference, to define what this government is about and make sure that the country understand why we're making the decisions we make, when they're both good or bad. Because that's the thing that's really missing, I think, is that thread that runs through every decision we make and every policy that we take. People just don't understand why it's happening and they can't connect the dots. And it's our job, the government's job, to do it for them. And that's just not really been happening in this first year. And it didn't happen enough in opposition either. That's, I would argue, why we're in the mess we're in now.